Hello and welcome to the analysis of the Hindu newspaper dated December 30th, 2022. In this video, we are going to talk about two important newspaper articles. Now, these articles are going to be very important, very significant for the civil services examination. So, do watch this video till the end and let's now discuss the first important newspaper article for the day. Now, this particular newspaper article talks about what is known as remote EVM or RVM, right? Now, this RVM is being introduced by the Election Commission and it is awaiting some kind of validation from the political parties, right? Now, this article becomes important for the GS paper 2, that is Salient Features of the Representation of Peoples Act. Let's now understand the context of this particular newspaper article. Then we are going to understand what is RVM, and then we are going to discuss the challenges which lie ahead for the RVM, and then we are also going to talk about the way forward in this regard. So let's first understand the context of it. Now, the Election Commission on Thursday announced the development of a prototype of a multi-constituency remote electronic voting machine, that is RVM, remote electronic voting machine. What it is going to do? It is going to help you vote in the multiple constituencies in a location, right? From a location, right? And now it is going to enable remote voting by the migrant voters. Now, who are migrant voters? Who have migrated to the other cities, but their voter ID is from the native place, right? And they are not able to vote because of the reason that they live in the different cities, and then they do not travel to their native place for voting. Now, these machines can handle multiple constituencies from one remote booth, and the Election Commission invited all recognized parties, 8 national and 57 state parties, to a demonstration of the prototype on January 16. Now, the panel has already shared a concept note with them on the legal, operational, administrative, and technological challenges. Right now, these challenges we are going to discuss in detail, but let's first understand what is RVM. Now, RVM is basically a machine that allows migrant voters living outside their home constituencies to vote from their current residence. Now, the remote voter must register online, offline within a pre-notified time before the election with their home constituency returning officer, and that will enable him to vote through the RVM in the place where he or she is working. And after successful verification at their home constituency, the voter will be approved for the remote voting facility, and the booths will be set up near their current homes. EVMs will be and the RVMs. In an RVM, a single ballot unit can cater to many constituencies at a single polling station by using dynamic ballot display instead of usual printed paper ballot sheet. Now, instead of printed paper ballot sheet, what is going to be used? Dynamic ballot display, right? Now, this ballot is going to be dynamic. It is all going to be of your own constituency, right? From the place where you are working, you can vote to your constituency, right? So this is the basic essence of RVM. Now, the Election Commission has also come up with some of the challenges that may be in the way of the RVM. And the first challenge is the administrative challenge. Basically, how will you enumerate remote voters' self-declaration? Because they are not going to their own they are not going to their own constituencies, right? And why would they go? In order to just get registered with the returning officer, they will not go. So that is the basic challenge. And providing controlled environment, ensuring secrecy of voting at remote locations is also a problem. And apart from it, provision of polling agents at remote voting booths and ensuring identification of voters to avoid impersonation is also a big trouble. Now, number of booths to be set up and locations is also an administrative challenge. And apart from it, appointment of polling personnel for remote polling stations and supervision thereof becomes a big challenge, right? And implementation of MCC in the remote location in the other states also becomes a big problem, because many of the migrant workers are interstate in nature. A worker from Bihar is working in Maharashtra. How will he be able to vote? And this becomes an administrative challenge as well. Now let's talk about the legal challenges regarding it, because you have to basically amend many of the laws and rules. Now the laws and rules need to be amended in Representation of People Act 1950-1951, which basically cater to the elections, and the conduct of election rules 1961 needs to be also changed. There needs to be a change in some of the provisions of the registration of electors rules 1960 as well. And apart from it, how will you define a migrant voter? Because poll day absence to permanently shifted it varies, right? You can be permanently shifted to another location, or you can be absent on that particular poll day. You are not present there. Now that determination of the definition of migrant worker becomes a challenge. And apart from it, how will you retain registration at original place in context of ordinary residence and a temporary absence in the legal construct? It is also a big problem, right? And apart from it, how will you define remote voting? Now, dealing with the territorial constituencies concept becomes a big problem, and defining remoteness, basically outside constituency, outside district, or outside state, becomes a headache in the legal challenge as well, right? Becomes legally a headache. Now these are basically the legal challenges. Now let's talk about the technological challenges, because there are various challenges as well. For example, what will be the method of remote voting? The second is familiarity of voters with the methods, because voters are not familiar with the RVM, they are familiar with the EVMs, but they are not familiar with the remote EVM. Now this can be removed by basically training people, but this is also a big problem. And apart from it, counting of the votes cast at the remote booths and transmit to the RO located in the other state becomes a problem, because political parties can maneuver in this regard, and wherever there is going to be a shortcoming, political parties are going to use it in order to get the votes in their favor, manipulate the elections as well. So this becomes a very big technological challenge as well. So there are three types of challenges we have talked about. First is the the technological challenges, legal challenges, and the administrative challenges. Now let's talk about the way forward in this regard, but before that, why we need RVMs? Why the election commission has come up with the concept of RVM? So basically this is due to the fact that the voters turnout at the booths has been very low. In general elections of 2019, voter turnout turns out to be 67.4%, and all the other voters, they did not even bother to vote, right? This becomes a problem for the democracy, because some of the voters are not able to cast their vote. Now the EC noted that there were multifarious reasons for a voter not opting to register in a new place of residence. That's basically for the migrant workers, and they missed out on exercising the right to vote. And the inability to vote due to internal migration is one of the prominent reasons to be addressed to improve voter turnout and ensure participative elections, because internal migration is within the state, and due to some of the reasons, the voters are not able to turn towards the booth. And out migration due to need to work, marriage, and education is predominant among the rural population in overall migration. We have talked about the example that Bihar worker is working in the Maharashtra due to the work, and apart from it, marriage and education also become very important factors, and this leads to low voter turnout. Now approximately 85% of the internal migration is within the states, right? Sorry, out migration is between the countries, internal migration is between in the country, right? Out migration means going to abroad, right? So this is basically the situation, and that is why the RVM are being introduced, right? So What can be the way forward in this regard? So the initiative, if implemented, can lead to a social transformation for the migrants, and this will also connect people with their roots, as many times they are reluctant to get themselves enrolled at their place of work for various reasons, and the reasons being changing of the residences, frequently changing of the residences, not enough and social connect with the issues of an area of the migration, and there is also unwillingness to get their names deleted in the electoral roll of their home native constituencies, as they have permanent residence or property, right? So this is basically the way forward in it, because the initiative can be very helpful, right? So this is it regarding this particular newspaper article. Let's now move ahead to the second newspaper article. Now this particular newspaper article becomes very important because it talks about the Karnataka Maharashtra border row, which you would have seen in the news as well, right? Now this article becomes important for the GS paper too, that is interstate boundary disputes. So now what is the boundary dispute between these two states? So basically the border town of Belagavi. So Belagavi is a border town and it has been part of the Karnataka, and if you see the map, it is the Belagavi, right? It is part of Karnataka. This is basically the boundary between Maharashtra and Karnataka, and this is Belagavi area, right? So now what is there so special about the Belagavi? So the border town of Belagavi has been a part of Karnataka since boundaries were demarcated along linguistic lines under the States Reorganization Act 1956. Now, State Reorganization Act of 1956 basically reorganized the boundaries of the states. Now, the reorganization also happened between the Karnataka and Maharashtra, because some of the areas were separated, some of the areas were excluded, included, whatever it is, right? It happened because of the States Reorganization Act 1956, right? And this reorganization was done on the linguistic lines, that is on the basis of the language. But the interstate border dispute between the Karnataka and Maharashtra erupts every now and then. This is not a recent phenomenon, it has been going on from the past. But in the recent past, what we have seen is that in 2022, the old dispute flared up again, and this basically happened because the Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai said that the Karnataka government was considering laying claim to Jat Taluk in Maharashtra, and it evoked a strong response from the Maharashtra as well as the locals got into the fights. Now, Karnataka Legislative Assembly on December 22 unanimously passed a resolution to protect its interest and call the dispute a closed chapter. Now, that erupted into a problem. Now, on December 27th, the Maharashtra government retaliated by passing a unanimous resolution in its assembly, and it legally pursued the inclusion of 865 Marathi speaking villages from Belagavi, Karwar, Nipani, Bidar, Bhalgi, and others in the Karnataka into the state. So this is basically the war between or the war of the resolutions being passed between the Karnataka and Maharashtra. Now let's talk about what are the claims of these particular states. Now in 1957, what happened is that, unhappy with the demarcation of the boundaries, Maharashtra demanded the realignment of its borders with the Karnataka, and it invoked section 21(2)(b) of the act, which submitted a memorandum to the Union Government of Home Affairs stating its objection to Marathi speaking areas being included in Karnataka, and they also filed a petition in the Supreme Court staking a claim over the Belagavi. Now on the Karnataka side, what happened is that Karnataka argued that the inclusion of Belagavi as part of its territory is beyond a dispute, and it talked about the 1967 Mahajan Commission report. Now it cited the demarcation done on linguistic lines as per the act and the 1967 Mahajan Commission report to substantiate its position. Now Karnataka has argued for inclusion of areas in Kolhapur, Sholapur and Sangli districts falling under the Maharashtra in its territory, and from 2006 Karnataka started holding the winter session of the legislature in the Belagavi, building the massive Suvarna Vidhan Saudha in the district headquarters to reassert its claim over that particular area, right? So these are basically the Karnataka sides and the Maharashtra side claims. Now let's talk about the Mahajan Commission, because Karnataka has talked about Mahajan Commission of 1967, right? Now in 1966, at the Maharashtra's insistence, the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi established a one-man commission led by Meher Chand Mahajan, which recommended that 264 villages are going to be transferred to the Maharashtra, and Karnataka side will get Belagavi and 247 villages. Now Maharashtra rejected the report because it was giving more of the area than it was receiving. Now Karnataka argued that either the Mahajan Commission report should be accepted fully or the status quo should be maintained, right? Now these are some of the terms of the Mahajan Commission. Let's now talk about the recent controversy in the Jat Taluk. So basically a war of words broke out between the BJP leaders in Karnataka and Maharashtra over the border row last month, when CM basically said that they were seriously considering claim over the Jat Taluk. And in 2021, what happened is that all 40 gram panchayats of the drought prone Jat Taluk passed a resolution to join Karnataka, and it stated that the Maharashtra government was unable to provide water to its people and they were being treated unfairly, right? Now this was basically the claim of the Gram Panchayats. We will not get into the politics of it, but this is what happened exactly, right? So this fueled the tension between the two states, with Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis saying that they would not cede even an inch of land to Karnataka, and Mr. Bommai then upped the ante by stating that Solapur and Akalkot ought to be part of the Karnataka as well. And in the same week, violence broke out at the Dhond village in Maharashtra when some pro-Marathi activists vandalized a KSRTC bus. And in retaliation, a few pro-Kannad activists blackened the boards of an MSRTC bus in Kalaburagi. So this is basically the recent controversy regarding the Jat Taluk, or the border row between Karnataka and Maharashtra. Now we will not get into the conclusion of who is right, who is wrong. We have the facts and figures before us and we will not judge them, right? We will just see it as it is. So this is it regarding this particular newspaper article, and this is it for the day. Thank you from my side. Do like and share the video and subscribe to this channel. Have a good day. Bye.